So today I'm joined with the lovely Dr. Kate Sherratt.
Hi.
Today we're talking all things dating with confidence. So we'll come on to those kind of commonly asked questions and things that come up a lot.
Definitely.
I'm Lenny. I'm founder of the Be Dating Beautiful, which is a singles events company. We've got lots of opportunities for people to meet in real life, launching in just 3 weeks' time. So we'll come on to those events very soon. I'll let you introduce yourself, Kate.
Hello. Yes, I'm Dr. Kate Sherratt. I'm a registered clinical psychologist and an accredited CBT therapist, and I help self-aware and intelligent women date with confidence and intention.
Amazing. So to get started, I thought it might be interesting to start with a few stats to kind of where everyone's at with dating these days. It's pretty interesting. So 78% of dating app users report mental exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
I think the numbers talked for themselves. 1.4 million people in the UK left dating apps last year alone.
Yes. Yeah.
And 47% of singles say they feel self-conscious about how they look when they're dating. And the last one I have for you, 65% of singles say dating is harder than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely true. When I was sort of looking up stuff for tonight, I saw that basically about 10 years ago or so, there's some research at Stanford University that showed that all the networks where we used to meet people, sort of work, friends, family, and just hobbies, completely took a nosedive where dating apps just took off. So now it feels like it's almost impossible to meet people in real life, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And then it comes onto that kind of feeling of self-consciousness and things like that when people are in public and they would have gone up to people in a pub or wherever environment before and there's just this feeling that they can't do that anymore. And it's, we'll come across some of those common questions as we go.
Yeah.
So some of those stats there kind of lead to the fact that Be Dating Beautiful have got events launching in a few weeks' time. So my kind of history with dating, I was on dating apps for over 4 years. I found the whole thing mentally exhausting. I was kind of on and off of them for, when I had the energy to do it, I'd be on them for a bit. And then after a few months, I was like, I can't do it. But I can't meet people in real life. So I'd go back on them. And I feel like, that pain that I went through, I just wanted to create something that gave people the opportunity to meet in real life. And here we are, a few years on, started as a blog to talking about my journey and how I kind of went from being divorced, going through my own therapy to kind of get the confidence I needed to first kind of figure out who I am and find my confidence, but then go on to use that in dating as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got a similar sort of story. At the same time as doing my clinical training and learning all these wonderful clinical skills and helping loads of people, I had my own slightly rocky dating journey. I like to joke with my friends, I had a PhD in ridiculous relationships. And so I was doing the same as you for quite a long time because the apps are exhausting. And it's like another job. Like what people say to me is it feels tedious, it feels draining, and it's like another job. And often you almost end up like catching yourself talking about like, oh, I interviewed them, or I feel like it's an interview. And that's the way I think that technology ends up filtering it. It's something that seems productive and it's something you can do quite easily at home, but actually it really desensitizes you to kind of people. And the choice can be overwhelming as well. So I developed another approach and joined a load of different hobbies, got really intentional and deliberate about what are my real values? What do I imagine I want to do with the person I want to be with? And started seeking out opportunities to do those things myself. Enjoyed my life in the process. And then actually through friends of friends that I met entirely new in my 30s, eventually found my partner. So I just thought, I wish it hadn't taken me so long. And I've kind of put together a bit of an approach that hopefully fast forwards a lot of that for people.
Yeah. And that was off of dating apps?
I met my partner not on dating apps. I use dating apps, but I use them kind of as practice and one stream of new people. Because the key thing is, if your partner isn't in your circle, you're going to need to meet some new people. You can't get around that. It's just like widening out the ways that you do that. And so when I saw you online, I thought, oh, we've got shared values.
Yay. And you're just down the road as well, so it was really handy.
Yeah. So now we're IRLing together.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we are by the flower wall that's taken itself to Todd in a few weeks' time, and I'm very grateful for you coming over. So thank you very much, and it's lovely to have you here. So let's go into some of those kind of commonly asked feelings that people might be worried or feeling before going out dating. Okay, so it's going to be awkward, or I feel self-conscious. Now, from a BDB side of things at the events itself, we've got kind of icebreakers and things like that. So we've got things like giant kaplunk and festival games to get people moving and talking at that, so they don't feel really awkward at a table, kind of sat behind and really not knowing how to start that conversation. We've got things like cue cards, which I can share some of those a bit later. But yeah, those kind of icebreakers and opportunities for people to meet like-minded people doing things they actually love already. So Todd is a festival environment, music that they potentially might love. They both love the same bands. We're going to be sending people to kind of different stages to see different acts. So yeah, there's the talk of music and things like that. So those are kind of the icebreakers throughout the day. But yeah, I guess what would your advice be here?
Well, I mean, all of that sounds amazing, because it's one way, if you can really choose to use it, to take the focus off yourself. When you're feeling awkward, it's almost like a tunnel spotlight comes on you, and you become self-conscious about like what you're thinking, what you're saying, how dry your mouth is, all that kind of stuff. And actually having loads of other things to focus on is a great start. I mean, quite often it sort of falls into the category of performance anxiety, whereas actually you've got nothing to prove just by going along to a festival, that if you're looking at that, you're kind of going to enjoy it anyway. And putting yourself out there to meet some new people. I think the one key mindset issue people can have that makes it awkward is, I really want to find someone and that person needs to be there. And if they're not the one, then it's pointless. And so I think just taking that pressure off and being like, it is awkward. We're not used to doing this anymore. When you go out to a bar, often you're kind of on your phone while you're sort of waiting for someone to arrive anyway. So if you're out of practice and you feel awkward, then just putting yourself out there and getting into it and taking the plunge and talking to some new people is the only way it's going to feel less awkward. And it does feel less awkward over time.
Yeah, it's all about practice, right? The more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to feel with that.
100%, yeah.
And we'll come on to it closer to the end, but you've got some kind of mindset shifts and practices and things that you're giving away free. But we'll come on to that later. So next one for you. What if there's nobody that I fancy?
Yes. Well, as we were kind of saying, I mean, actually, what you might be thinking about when you're making that sort of statement to yourself is maybe your experience of being on apps where you typically only meet one person in a night, probably, unless you're really lucky at the bar. So that, or a speed dating event where, again, there's only time to meet maybe 5 people or something like that.
A handful,
So with something like this, you've got an infinite number of people you can meet, which is amazing. So I think, again, it's about really reframing the purpose of attending and getting out of that kind of scarcity mindset where it's like, oh, is this person here or are they not here? Is it win or is it a lose? And just thinking, okay, it's a start. I'm never going to meet anyone if I stay at home. And actually, there's tons of people here. So if I feel like I've fluffed it when I speak to that person, then I can go and reset. I could even bring a friend, go and have some fun and then reset and try again. And you'll be able to see quite easily with wristbands actually who's single.
So as you said there, wristbands. So obviously getting into the festivals itself, everyone will have their own festival wristband. But those that will come join the singles experience will be given a dedicated singles wristband. Now that there's one for the day. And then those that are going to be joining the after party, there's glow up wristbands as well for the evening. So as you're kind of going about your day, if you are hanging out with friends because you're feeling a bit insecure and you do want to come with friends, that's great. You will be able to spot other singles at the bars or at the stages and things like that with your wristbands on. So a great opportunity, as you said, just to get talking to more and more people throughout the day.
I mean, a great win would be to start off feeling a little bit awkward and self-conscious and just build it up gradually. first of all, it could just be about going, do you know where the toilet is, to someone who you don't even fancy. And by the end of the night, you could find that you're even managing to approach someone who you think kind of looks quite nice. And even if it still feels like a bit of an awkward conversation, starting that conversation is progress from sitting at home going, I feel awkward.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing. Just to add that there's Todd attracts over 10,000 people over the space of the weekend. It's a huge event. So lots of people that you're going to be able to have the opportunity to talk to. I'll move on to the next question.
10,000 people, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. There's a lot of opportunities there to meet somebody. Versus your potentially what you're saying there in a speed dating event, you might have 10. We're talking volume, guys.
And dating is a numbers game. I think that's what I've really found. Yeah.
What if they're not my kind of people?
Yeah, let's have a think about that one.
So in terms of Todd itself, the festival itself attracts all kinds of ages. Families too. It's open to anyone in the public. The singles experience is open to 18 years plus. But because there's everything from Oasis to ABBA tributes on, you really will, they do bring in the interest from all kinds of different genres and music loves. And there's 80 acts over the weekend. There's 6 stages. I feel like it just is so vast that it really does kind of open the doors of lots of opportunity to meet lots of different people.
Yeah, I think if this is the primary concern that you've got, I would be really wanting to have a big conversation with you about what makes you think that they're not going to be your kind of people. Because as you say, logically, there's like 100,000 people that are going to be there. And what often happens when you're thinking that is that you've got a bit of a mindset block. And actually, that kind of thought can often be something that's protecting you from a bit of a fear of rejection or a bit of a fear of disappointment. Yeah. So I think you might have some evidence that you've gathered from disappointing experiences you've had maybe in other events. But again, it's kind of like, if you're choosing to look at a festival, that probably says something about you and what you enjoy and what you value. I'm thinking festivals, I'm thinking someone that values fun, that maybe has a love of music. Yeah. And so people that are attracted and drawn to that, it's a bit like I was saying about, I thought about hobbies I was interested in and the other people that would be drawn there. I knew I fancied people that were funny, so I went and did improv comedy. If you're thinking about a festival, then other people that enjoy the same kinds of things as you are likely to be there. If you're thinking about if they're attractive or not, that's a separate conversation. Because again, guys, we have to have a big talk about what your deal breakers are, and you can get quite stuck on certain characteristics which when you're on dating apps you can kind of filter for. So again, you can get a really fixed type in your head of what you think your type is.
But we go for something completely different.
We're absolutely crap at actually knowing what we go for. Yeah. So I think, again, reframing it is an opportunity to be a bit surprised. And especially as women, you can be a little bit more influenced by how a man puts himself across and the kind of conversation that you have with him. And you only know that when you actually stand there next to someone and speak to them. So again, this gives you the opportunities that you wouldn't normally have just by swiping.
Yeah, lots of practice. Love that. I don't have the energy or the confidence. What would you say there?
Okay, so this depends. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that for some people that's true. I think it's about having a bit of a word with yourself. So for example, I can definitely think of times when I was single where actually, was I single in my head? Or was I actually thinking about either my ex or the person I was kind of interested in, and were we or were we not kind of a thing? And I definitely remember conversations I'd have with that person where I'd be like, oh yes, I went on holiday and I had this great time and I met these guys and this kind of thing. And actually, that's a crap headspace in terms of respect for the people you're trying to date, because it's not about you genuinely trying to form a connection with somebody. It's about you trying to get one over on the person or kind of attract the attention of the person who you're going for. So I definitely think if you're honest with yourself and that's your mindset, you're right, you probably don't have the energy, and you probably need to have a look at that at the moment and spend some time just working on sort of dampening down the attraction to the person that's not good for you, before you have a space for the person that might be. If actually it's not that, and you, again, it's more of a, oh, maybe I don't have the energy or the confidence, then I would just encourage you. It's that whole thing again of couch to 5K. You're not going to be able to run the 5K if you just sit on the couch. You're going to need a training plan, and you're going to need to get out there. And first of all, it might just be a walk, but it will get a faster and faster walk, and eventually it'll be a run, and then you'll do your 5K.
Yeah.
You won't develop the stamina and the energy and the confidence if you never get out there. And so it's about perhaps using an event like this and having a good prep strategy and a mindset to make the best use of it. That's what I would encourage you if that's your situation.
And just reiterating there again, there's an opportunity to go with friends, because it's not a singles only event. This is an everybody event with a dedicated singles experience. So if people go along with their friendship groups, and everyone can go after their stages and watch whatever acts they want to watch, they can join the bits that they feel like they're able to.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes fun like that can be energizing, and your friends can be energizing, as long as they support you and push you to get out and actually not just spend your entire day with them.
Yeah. And I think that will help with the bands, because as people are mingling between, the different festival areas, they'll be able to spot people, and there'll be challenges on the day as well. So we're going to actually set challenges for people to go up to other people with the bands and ask them particular questions. So look out for some more news of that coming soon.
Can I mention male, female wing women and men?
Yeah.
One thing that completely surprised me when I was doing this was the value of actually having, I had guy friends I would go out with and do this with. And it had never occurred to me to do this before, but it is brilliant for both sides, because it's quite helpful for guys, because I think one of the biggest mindset problems that guys have about approaching women is, oh God, what if I look creepy? And actually, if you're there with a female friend, they can be your social credibility. If you are clearly with someone who is a woman and seems to think you're all right, then already you look slightly less creepy.
You take that barrier down
on your own.
Yeah.
And you can big each other up to the people that you're trying to sort of play off of. So you can work really well as a team, actually. And it can be quite nice to have the opposite sex perspective. If you go off and do a little round of the room, or the field, whatever, and come back together, it can just give you a different kind of debrief to the one you'd have gotten if you'd only gone with your girlfriend or guy friend. And I think that's important to say, because when we get to, I'm not going to say how old I am, but our ages, sometimes you don't have the available friends of the same sex to go with. Mm-hmm. So actually knowing that you could make use of any friends can be helpful.
Yeah, work colleagues even.
Yeah, totally, work colleagues.
I don't want to look desperate. How do we get over that feeling?
Oh, this one sounds a bit like, again, that sort of self-protection, doesn't it?
100%.
And it's there are so many areas of life where I don't want to look like this to other people can hold you back, aren't there?
Yep.
I don't want to look like I want it too much. I don't want to tell everyone in case I don't get that job, whatever. And often that's about the voices outside you sounding the loudest to you. And I guess it's like, well, who do you think you're going to look desperate to? Whose voice is, who do you think is telling you that you're desperate? And when you really boil it down, do you care? Are you going to let that person or that set of people dictate your life and your choices and what you're going to do? Because that's really narrowing, and you don't even know if they think you're desperate. You might well be working off ambiguous information.
Yeah.
So it's a whole mind tangle that happens in a lot of different situations that can stop you in your tracks. And I'd beg you to stand in the middle of the arena and be brave and say, I just don't care if I look desperate or not. Actually, maybe it's brave.
Let's do it.
Maybe it's empowering. Yeah. Maybe it's good to take charge of your love life rather than just waiting for someone to fall from the sky.
Do you know what? I remember the first time that I took myself to a singles event.
Yes.
And it was so empowering, because I was like, I can't do it for weeks, for months even. Yeah. I was on the apps hating it and wanting to find another option. I did have to head a long way into London because there wasn't any local to me. But that feeling of I've done it and it wasn't that bad, like really was just like, I can't believe it took me so long to work up to this.
Yeah.
When actually I've gone in on my own, I've met some really interesting people tonight.
Yeah.
And actually, what have I lost? Like, okay, I didn't make a match. I didn't find that I had the chemistry with anyone in the room, but actually it was just really nice to go and chat to like-minded people. And yeah, it just felt amazing leaving going, I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the same kind of thing. I went to a lock and key party and I was like, oh, cringe. And oh, can I really do this? But actually at the time, I was aware that I wanted to get better at making eye contact with people I fancied. Really weird thing that women don't do.
Yeah, it's all looking at the floor.
I really recognised I had such a block. I felt so ashamed that if I saw a guy that I thought was hot, I would not be able to look at them. And it's like, why? So actually, one of the things I was doing at that event, not only was showing myself I could go, but also practicing making eye contact with guys that I just thought looked nice and holding it for longer than a second. And in the end, I had some good chats with different people saying, like, I think you can get into all or nothing thinking where you're like, either I meet the one or everyone's a horrible creep or everyone's just really unattractive and crap. And what I found was just interesting conversations, nice people, respectful people, and some good recommendations for different stuff that I was like...
It's always handy.
Got some good restaurant recommendations, good date recommendations, which I used in future, even if not with them. Yeah. So, yeah.
Amazing. Win-win. I just want to say to those joining that, and I can see the kind of chat going there, if you guys have got any questions regarding kind of dating with confidence and how you get over some of those maybe anxieties or anything that you're feeling or regarding your going out and putting yourself forward in the dating world, please do pop those onto the chat, and we will get to those when we can. Right, let's keep going. So I'm making an effort, but I'm leaving alone. I'm leaving the festival without any kind of matches or without anyone's number. I guess it's how do we get over that feeling of, again, it comes back to what you were saying before, is this isn't necessarily about finding that one in that festival. It's just, it's going, having a good time, practicing, gaining that confidence. And you never know, right?
That's it. I think there's a lot of tiny steps that lead up to you having the conversation that you end up having with the person that ends up being with your partner. So they may be at the festival, they might not be at the festival. Maybe their friend is at the festival. I think there's so many other outcomes that you can have from going to things like this. Either like directly, like I say, making a new friend that leads to love, or having a bit of an approach where you're like, I need to meet more people. I've met 4 people in the last year, and one of them was like too tall and bald, and I didn't like them at all. If you increase the number of people that you're meeting, and I've nothing against bald people, in fact, very attractive ones as well. But if you just literally increase the amount of people that you're meeting, then and practice putting yourself across. So one thing I also found is when you start off this, you can end up doing silly things like just blurting out your entire previous love life in an unprocessed way and putting someone off. And it can take you a few dates to realise that's what you're doing. Yeah. So even if actually what you learn is, oh, there's something I'm clearly doing here.
It's upsetting people.
It's upsetting people that I need to change.
Yeah.
Then that will move you closer to love as well.
Yeah. And also, if you have a BDB wristband, you can use it at your next event too. So there's opportunities to keep coming to further future events that as well. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities. Next one. So I have dating anxiety. I often overanalyze the texts and I get stuck in my head. How do we deal with that?
Yes. I think, again, this is part of a sort of style where you might find yourself getting quite invested in sort of the initial leads, if you like, quite early on. Yeah. And what I've often seen, I've had this myself and I've seen it in people I work with as well. It's like some of your self-esteem kind of gets invested in whether this is progressing or not. So it can be really hard to just kind of calm down and put it to bed. What I would say about that is don't do it. Remember the stage of the relationship you're at, and try to keep a bit of balance in the rest of your life so that you've got other things that you can attend to. I was talking to someone only the other day that was kind of saying they recognised they were doing it, and then and also they'd had a relationship with a previous partner where they would expect to reply like really quickly from whatever was going on, and they realised that wasn't quite healthy. So they thought, do you know what?
You're stuck on my little leaf there. Look.
I'm stuck on
there you go.
You're beautiful stuff. They were saying, do you know what? Actually, it's probably better if I just let myself sit with this text for a bit, just leave it, go about my day, get involved in my day, and then think, do I have anything I actually want to say myself? And then get back to them later on, and just slow down and make more sort of considered that interaction, and think more, I guess, in your own shoes about, well, what do I want to put across, rather than getting stuck in their head and what you think they may or may not be thinking about you. And if there is something that you're really concerned about, try and analyse what that is. Is it that you think they are too busy at work and not available for you? Okay, if that's the case, then the quicker you work that out in your head and just try and have a sort of balanced conversation with them, the quicker you can find out if you're actually correct or not, and whether ultimately they're worth investing more in, or whether it's more about kind of sadly saying goodbye and moving on to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's a nerves piece in there as well. I guess it's people that are feeling really anxious about coming to an event like this. Are there any tips that you would give in terms of how do I control my nerves? Like, how do I deal with that? Like, I'm really nervous. Like, can you give me like any tips on how I can get over that?
Yeah, I think there's different kinds of things. Like, one thing with social anxiety in general is that you can become very internally focused. So one like quick tip is to try and really focus outside of yourself on what is going on literally at the event. Because the more that you sort of go in on yourself and aware of your thoughts and sort of how sweaty you feel and stuff like that, the more it can loop, and the more actually you're like, ooh, I can hear that band. I like that band. I like that song, or I don't like that song. Oh, look, there's this amazing flower wall, which has been put together for me. The more you get out of your head and into the room, and do that deliberately, the better it is.
Yeah.
The other thing is if it's a self-esteem thing a bit more, and you're worried you're going to be found out for something. Oh God, if I go to this event, am I going to be found out as being boring, or am I going to be found out as not being good enough? And there isn't a quick answer to that, but in the sort of audio pep talk and the 5-day guide that I've put together, I've got a series of challenges and tasks to essentially get you a bit more ready. And in brief, that involves taking your mind away from that sort of anxious negative focus on your qualities and pulling it back towards believable things that are also true about you and that maybe you're being unfair on, and thickening those up so that you see those more clearly and kind of practice that version of yourself in your head, and even pair it with sort of things like music and stuff like that, so that you can end up in a situation a bit like athletes when they're performing and getting ready for a race, where you've got your song on in your head, you've got, I may or may not be boring, but I'm really competent and I know my stuff. And that is the version of yourself.
You're in the zone.
Exactly.
You're in
you
the
kind
zone.
of can get yourself into the zone and take that version of yourself to the event.
It's almost like a distraction mechanism, isn't it? It's almost like, okay, I'm here. I've got, there's so much going on around me. Like, take it away from. Is that right? Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say it's about mental focus.
Yeah.
2 types of mental focus. Internal focus will always pull you off. So the more you can focus outside of yourself, the better it will be.
Yeah.
And the second type of focus is being biased towards the negative or the qualities that you're anxious about in yourself. And again, that is probably really unfair to yourself. And so it's about pulling your attention, not to an overly sort of unrealistic, toxic positivity view of yourself, but just to a balanced and realistic, actually, I've got some good qualities too, and I can sort of pull my attention in that direction.
When we were talking on the lead up to this, we were talking about qualities, weren't we? And actually, as a person, if you get put on the spot and it's like, oh, what am I good at? What can I say that I'm good at? Or one of the things we spoke about is actually speaking to friends, finding out from them, like asking them, if you had to say my best 3 qualities would be, what would they be? Or what am I good at? Or that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is when I was having a hard time with this, one of the things I did for myself, because I knew about the technique, was reading like work leaving cards and the qualities people had mentioned about me there, and also texting a couple of really trusted friends and even one ex-partner and just saying, you know, what would you say are the things about me that are really good? And I came up with a list, not only myself, but with some evidence from outside, and then just really kind of, again, put all that together, and it made me feel actually quite good.
Yeah, there you go. That little confidence boost is at the same time.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, next one. So how do I make good conversation? I think you touched on it quite a bit there already, but I guess, yeah, I'll let you take.
Well, what's a good conversation? Hey? One thing I learned from improv is stuff that you think is boring and mundane actually might not be to somebody else. So never assume necessarily that sort of what you're talking about is boring. That said, if what we're talking about good conversation is purposeful conversation that might lead you somewhere, then it can really help to be starting to think a bit about sort of qualities that you are attracted to in somebody, and the types of conversation that might bring that out, and how you can perhaps get into that zone where, say, I liked funny people, or I liked being made to laugh by a guy. So if I'm there and I spend a long time talking about work, and my work's quite serious as well, so we probably wouldn't start off with a laugh there, obviously that was going to drag the conversation down. So I started to realise that I needed to shift the conversation to something more fun. And to start with, that was pretty basic. So it might sound boring, but just like TV programmes that we're watching, like things I found funny. So I would talk about funny comedian-based programmes I'd see on TV. And that would lighten the mood because it was a value that I had and something I was looking for, and get us all a better path. So I think it's about considering what you find interesting to talk about, and then thinking about ways that you can steer the conversation in that direction if it starts to get generic and not taking you down a path that you want.
And if you really don't like someone, you can use the excuse that you need to go to the toilet, and then
that's it. The thing is, the more people there are, the more low stakes it is. So you really can.
Yeah, definitely. I lost my self-worth and confidence after a breakup.
Yes.
How do you rebuild that? How do you get back into the zone that you are good enough? And that, you want to feel confident. You want to put your best version of yourself out there when you're dating. You don't want to come across as this, shy, timid person. And that can have a massive, massive effect on you. Believe me, I know. What would your advice be here?
I think there's a bit of foundation work. It depends how recent the breakup was. So there's a bit of foundation work that can really help. And often there's a temptation to sort of chuck yourself in dating, a bit like the example I mentioned earlier, where I was like, I'm going to show you I'm really attractive and you're going to see what you're missing. Where actually, you're not where dating is a bit unhelpful and you're not emotionally ready for it.
Yeah.
So in terms of losing confidence after a breakup and how to rebuild it, I think there's a portion of that is helpful to do on your own.
Yeah.
And it's even helpful to realise if you struggle to do that on your own, which some people do. If you find that when you've got a sort of a day at the weekend on your own and you're like, I want to sort of call a friend or text an ex or something, that's maybe a sign that actually you could build some confidence in yourself, even just by taking that as a challenge and thinking, okay, how can I, what plans could I make that would shore me up and make me feel like I can tackle a day on my own at the weekend? So I feel like I don't need a man or a woman, or I don't need to see somebody.
Yeah.
And then it's also about perhaps throwing yourself into life areas where you do feel successful and confident, and surrounding yourself with the right people. So this is not the time to be pouring yourself into, friendships where you're like, are you a friend? What are you using me for? Something else.
Yeah.
You want your most supportive and best people around you at this point.
Yeah.
And to be, as far as possible, giving yourself the experiences that are sort of sense of success and mastery, and just looking after yourself. I think it's basic. Sleep, eat,
well-being.
Plan like exercise can really help.
Yep.
And just planning like one fun or enjoyable thing or one personal win into the day until that feels more natural and normal. Because what you need for dating is a little bit of stamina. You need the stamina to withstand, I didn't meet anyone at this event and that's okay, or the stamina to be like, actually, I don't need a date badly enough to continue this relationship, or I can cope with it, that you've said I'm not for you, that's okay. So you need a bit of a fuller tank before you do it.
Yeah, I think so. After my divorce, we're going back maybe 5 years here. I didn't really have any confidence with dating because I'd been with someone over 10 years.
It's really common.
Yeah. So one of the things when I was going through therapy, the biggest piece of advice, she was like, take time for you. Self-love is one of the biggest pieces of advice I'd give you, and you need to focus on you. And actually, it was a friend that said to me, Eleni, rather than throwing yourself into all these dates and just going after somebody else to fill the void of somebody not being there,
yes,
it was very much, what would the perfect date for you look like? Like, what would you do? What's the perfect date? And go and do it. And it took a long time. It took forever. I had to work myself up from going for a coffee with myself, and then I'd take myself shopping, and then I'd go for lunch with myself. And I had to kind of start small with these little things that I could find that I could go and do for myself. And you get that sense of achievement after you've done it. And that then I worked up. My perfect day was going into London and going to a dance class. And I was like, that absolutely terrified the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was like, I can't do that. Take my weight self all the way in there. And, I'm 40 odds and I'm going to be around all these 18-year-olds that know how to dance and do it beautifully. And I'm going to rock up and look like a right fool. But you know what? After a few months of kind of going through those small steps, I managed to do it. And it really does make you feel alive and really give you that confidence. And from there, you just, the world's your oyster. You're like, yeah, I can do this now. And that's where I think there's a sign of feeling more ready to go out there and give it your best shot. But yeah, I think it's probably quite a common mistake is that people go back and do it too soon.
Yeah. I mean, I was a serial monogamist, and it took me, and I think partly it's about avoiding sort of that pain of not exactly rejection, because it might have been you that did it, but just the sort of like finality of like, that's over and what do I do now?
Yeah.
And actually there's a psychology book that's come out recently called You Are the One You've Been Waiting For, and I was like, oh, that's good, because actually the better partner you can be to yourself, that will raise the standard of the partner that you're going to match with and meet and bring into your life. And that doesn't mean if you meet someone that has gone wrong that there's something wrong with you, but it certainly helps you. If you can raise your game and be a great partner to yourself, you're going to be raising the game of the person that's going to come and join you in your life as well.
100%. I was such a different person from, post-divorce, very no confidence, nothing, to, a few years later where I just managed to go and enjoy myself, solo travel, do all these, not that everyone has the opportunity to do all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just I was completely different space, and that was reflected in the people that I was dating until most recently.
Yes.
On to the next one, shall we? How do I flirt with confidence without making a fool of myself? So I think there's one thing I just wanted to cover here with outfit choices.
Yes.
So when I was dating, I felt like I had to look a certain way, and I maybe didn't dress as myself because I felt like men would like to see me in a dress or in a certain, in a certainly different way. And I think when I got back to dressing to how I feel comfortable and how I'd liked, how I would be at home, I felt that I felt more confident because of that. So I guess for me, there was a piece around actually your outfit choice is massive in the way that you feel.
Yes. And also just thinking about pictures and stuff like that. Like if you present a very different version, I mean, this is sort of something, because so many people will use the strategy of online as well as in real life. I think it's similar. Like essentially, I think it's kind of like supercharging the best, most polished version of yourself. So if you get back into the dating market and think, in order to get a partner, I have to, give myself enormous makeup tutorials and wear like tons of makeup when your style is much more casual and not like that. And so you end up sort of really overworking your look for what it normally would be, then you're kind of also attracting someone who's attracted to something that isn't you as well. So apart from the obvious things for women with outfit choice around sort of probably choose one asset or the other, but not both. I think there's something about, you know, maybe you've lost confidence and you don't have outfits in your wardrobe that speak to, maybe there's a lot of old stuff in there and that don't speak to who you are now. So in that sense, yes, it can be useful to have a bit of a wardrobe upgrade and think about the best version of you, but just consider what your style is and polish it up. Like, it's okay to wear a dress, but it might still be quite a classic dress, for example.
I guess regarding the dress, it was more that it was something that I would never have worn. It was just it was tight and fitted and
the sort of the things that you see.
I was like, that's what they want to see. I'm like, no, but I was all fidgeting and pulling my knickers out and all, you know, all wearing the wrong underwear and
it's bad. And it's also like, it's okay to stay in your lane. Actually, what you find with online stuff is people end up presenting who they think people want to see, and that is why all the profiles are so generic. Like, someone commented recently, everyone seems to be skydiving at the moment on their profiles, and it's like, so actually,
it's all done by AI. No.
But the thing is, the less you put across of yourself, and the more generic you are, the less likely, again, you are to really attract the person that's right for you. So I think dress the best version of yourself that you would like to, in these films, bump into someone with. But don't stay in your lane. Like, if your lane isn't, your lane might be being amazing at makeup and amazing at hair and putting really good put together look. Fine, do you. But if that's not your lane, let other people do that. Don't try and attract the people who are attracted to them, and meet the people that want you.
Anything that you would say there about body language when we're talking to people?
Yes, I mean, this is definitely one where I think because of phones, we've really lost it.
It's just always down like this, aren't we? Especially when walking down the street.
It's I mean, basic eye contact. So one of the other hobbies I did was tango for a while. And the interesting thing about that is I had to, the only way that you can get a dance is to make eye contact with someone. It's called the cabaseo, which is very exotic. But it helped because I had to get comfortable multiple times, like just making eye contact and holding it with somebody, and then there's like a little nod and you're like, okay, let's move. So I think guys will not approach women if they are in their phone, if they're standing in a closed posture with sort of looking miserable, and vice versa. Women don't usually think it's their role to approach men, but I would challenge that as well, actually. And sort of the more closed off your body language and the less you make eye contact and the more kind of you are, the less likely you are to actually have a conversation in the first place. And the other thing is, I think, again, there's kind of an emphasis on guys making the first move with women. This is, I suppose I've reflected on this as a woman. And actually, especially with all the stuff today, guys are bloody terrified of getting it wrong quite often. So if you are thinking there might be something, or even you're not sure but you'd like to test it out, you need to give them a body-based signal that it's okay to be sitting closer to you. Or maybe you have a little chat and then you just gently sort of make it, you need to show them that it's okay. One other tip I learned was sitting next to somebody instead of opposite them, because that gives you the opportunity to be a lot closer, and you can have that little playful sort of hand touch and like, oh.
My God, it's going so well.
And then you can start to invite sort of a different type of connection and see if that is happening. But a lot of times, if you're just static and you don't make enough eye contact and you don't smile, then that automatically kind of brings the vibe down, and it ends up in that job interview situation rather than something that feels a bit more like a date.
And again, like, your festival environment is going to feel much more natural anyway.
The games, there's so much opportunity for just the casual touch. If you like someone.
Oh, you're doing so well at that.
And again, it's low stakes. If it's not returned, you know, you might, if you really like them, you might try one more time, either way. But if it's not returned, that's fine. but it's literally making it small, low stakes, and sort of, you know, when we're attracted to people, we have bodies. We're not just pictures, so we need to use them.
Yep. Not on the cards, but just a thought on this one.
Yeah.
So I've met somebody. I've been flirting with him all day.
Yes.
I need to leave because like it's the last train home.
Cool.
How do I go about asking for his number or her number even? Like, what's the best way to do that? If they're feeling, again, that anxiety and fear of rejection, what would you say?
I mean, it depends how smooth, like on a very basic level, just literally going, I've really enjoyed chatting. Like, do you want to just exchange numbers? And then sort of we can chat a bit more or something. It's like you could keep it quite casual in how you're putting it across.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a slightly smoother version, then if you've been connecting on something all day, you could make a joke about it and kind of say like with the guy who I'm now is my partner and we have a child. He talked about this podcast he was listening to called My Dad Wrote a Porno.
Oh, yeah. Very popular.
Yeah. And I had not heard it before and I liked him. So I found him on Facebook and made friends with him. I listened to the podcast and nearly wet myself laughing on the tube and in the shop, in fact. So I just literally I made friends with him, literally messaged him and said like, oh my God, I nearly passed out laughing in the shop, and started a conversation. So if you can incorporate something that's a bit inviting, like, I don't know, an activity like music that you've talked about or whatever, you can flirtily say something like, oh, I don't know if I really like that band, so I think you might have to, you know, send me some of their tunes or their links or something. Like, you can make an excuse that's a little bit flirty. That would be like a really smooth, but you don't have to do that. Nuts and bolts will get it done.
Yeah, love that. Love that. So the event that BDB are going to be at is on the 11th to the 13th of July. It's the Todd in the Hole Festival, which is in Stevenage in Hertfordshire. We were saying earlier, there's over 10,000 people that go across the weekend. The event's on from the Friday afternoon until the Sunday night. And we're going to have a spot in the woods for the whole weekend. So it's a singles experience. So you can come and get your wristbands from us. And you can, whether or not you're coming for the day or for the weekend, you can keep them on. There's lots going on, obviously, for the entire weekend, and there's more events coming. So if festivals isn't your thing, don't worry. We've got running events coming, and there's lots of other things in the making at the moment as well. There is a competition running at the moment to win 2 free Todd tickets. So you could come and bring a friend, and that's to get into the festival itself. So that's festival entry for a day, and the singles experience too. If your friend's not single, that's fine. She can go off or he can go off and watch some of the festival. But yeah, competition is via my TikTok page. One of the posts, you'll see me talking all about it. All you have to do is give us your best chat up line, and we'll be picking a winner on Friday afternoon. So the tickets for Todd are about £40 for entry, and we're literally doing the festival experience because it's our launch event from £5. So yeah, a nice saving there. And yeah, do you want to talk about your freebie?
Yeah, so as I said, I saw Eleni and what she was doing and thought, this is brilliant. And I wish I'd had that when I was dating in the first place. So I reached out to her, and I put together something to help you if you kind of want to be persuaded. If you're on the fence because you're like, oh, am I ready to date? Oh, I'm not sure. I feel a bit anxious about all these things we've talked about, and I don't feel confident enough. Can I really do this? I've put together an audio pep talk and then 5 sort of steps of emails with some prompts and tasks to help you develop the dating confidence you need to really take advantage of an opportunity like this. So you can find me on drkate.psychologist on TikTok and Instagram, and the link in my bio will give you the freebie, or I think we're going to be putting this onto a page as well, and the link to the freebie is there too.
Yeah. So yeah, about that page, if you guys go over to my link tree just on TikTok, on my profile itself, there's a Dating with Confidence page on my website that links to all of your freebies too. So you can find it all there.
Just follow me.
Yeah,
I'd love to see you.
Yeah.
Again, Dr. Kate, psychologist.
Amazing. Does anyone have any questions? We've covered a lot there. We've spoken about lots and lots of different things, but this is your opportunity to ask questions. Thank you. I'm glad you found it helpful.
You're welcome.
But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, this is your opportunity to ask the specialist. It's very rare you have this opportunity. So please feel free. We'll stay on for a few minutes and see if anyone has any of those questions. Some fascinating stuff there.
Yes. We covered a lot.
Yeah.
We've gone right the way from breakups to putting yourself out there. I know. Which isn't bad in an hour.
It's not at all, is it? Yeah. Right, let's see if anyone's got anything. What about people coming on their own? Will they be guided? Yes. So we do have the opportunity for to join solos together. So if you contact me via, so it's just Eleni at Be Dating Beautiful, or if you go to my website and there's a contact page there, if you are wanting to come solo to this festival, we will group people up and give you the opportunity to meet those in zones or, at certain time slots so that you can enjoy that experience without being on your own. Great question. Thank you for that.
And could it be an opportunity not only to meet sort of people who you might be interested in, but also actually wing people? It could be really nice to meet some, like I found there was a point where none of my friends were single anymore and I was just really annoyed. So it could be nice to just meet some other people that you could hang out with and possibly do something like that again.
Yeah. Be yourself. Isn't that the best advice?
Yes, definitely. 100%. I would agree, Rob. Yes.
Love that. Are you coming, Rob? Are you going to be there? Or where are you? Where is everyone?
Bring yourself.
Yeah. Ask. They might say yes. 100%. You never know. You've got to ask. You've got to be in it to win it. No, you've got to be in it.
Yeah.
It's okay. See it as a game. Ask so much. Yeah. Anybody else? I'd love to know where you've all joined from. If you feel that is dating event, is kind of singles events of interest to you guys, how are you finding dating apps? What's your journey been like? I'm always really, really interested to hear people's stories. We'll be doing lots more lives. Hope is that every week we're going to be around doing things like this. So if there are topics that you want us to cover, please do drop us a line as well, and we'll see what we can do. But any more questions for the lovely doctor here that has the expertise, fire them our way.
We've solved dating.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to drop us a question after, that's absolutely fine. We can put together any other questions and think if there's more topics that people want to see.
Yeah, 100%. Well, huge thanks to everybody that has joined us tonight. It's been good fun. Thank you so much to you for joining me at my wall. I feel like this is a thing now. This is actually in my kitchen. I've been building this in preparation for the events, and everybody that I've been on Teams calls with or that come into the house that's so cool, and I'm like, I know, and it's meant to not live here, but I feel like it might.
I think it needs to.
I feel like it might be a permanent fixture here now, and it just feels a bit odd that it's in my kitchen. But it's
upgrading the kitchen dance party to the kitchen festival.
Yeah. I need to invite some friends over and get some drinks in, have a good night. I think.
Yeah,
who's up for that? All right. Looks like there's no other questions, so we'll bring it to a close, I think. But yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah,
great.
No catfishing. Woo!
No, exactly. You can see who you're dating with. Yeah,
100%. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.